This is Siouxland News at 5 on KMEG 14.
Yesterday, in my view, one of the darkest days in the history of our nation. An unprecedented assault on our democracy.
To those whose purpose was to deter our responsibility, you have failed.
I was shocked, I was heartbroken, and I was pissed off and angry by seeing this violent mob.
I was fearful for my life and trying to protect my colleagues.
May God bless all who serve here and those who protect this place.
It's a quiet night on Capitol Hill as they begin to heal after a deadly day of riots yesterday and the Capitol building's first breach since the War of 1812. 4 people are dead, including Ashley Babbitt, a San Diego Air Force veteran who stormed the Capitol building. 3 others suffered fatal medical emergencies.
This is a live look at Washington, D.C. right now. There are also strong condemnations directed towards President Trump from both sides of the political aisle. And with 2 weeks left in office, some are now calling for President Trump's removal. The latest from Washington, D.C., it is first at 5 o'clock tonight. We have team coverage this evening from our nation's capital.
Christine Frizzell is with us to break down Capitol security and how the first breach of the Capitol building in more than 200 years was possible. But first, we go to national correspondent Atra El-Nashar on Capitol Hill with a look at the riots' aftermath and what happens next.
A blistering attack from President-elect Biden on President Trump's behavior.
He unleashed an all-out assault on our institutions of our democracy from the outset. And yesterday was but the culmination of that unrelenting attack.
Sobering images of destruction inside the U.S. Capitol. The People's House now surrounded with fencing.
What happened yesterday is a wake-up call to many.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois becoming the first Republican to call for President Trump's removal through the 25th Amendment.
All indications are that the president has become unmoored, not just from his duty, nor even his oath, but from reality itself.
Democrats like Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono tell Sinclair it's too risky to allow President Trump to serve the short remainder of his term.
He can do a lot of damage. Look what he did in just a few days' time to encourage all these people to storm the Capitol. So there's a genuine fear among the military and among a lot of people.
Incoming Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling for the president's immediate removal, either by the 25th Amendment or impeachment.
The President of the United States incited an armed insurrection.
A group of House Democrats quickly drawing up articles of impeachment, though many believe they won't succeed.
I would hope that the House of Representatives would spend its time concentrating on getting ready for this new administration.
Over at the White House, a wave of resignations. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao joining at least 7 others as of Thursday afternoon, including Mick Mulvaney, who at one point served as President Trump's chief of staff.
But I can't stay here. Not after yesterday. You can't look at that yesterday and think I want to be a part of that in any way, shape, or form.
Former Attorney General William Barr blaming President Trump for what happened, telling the Associated Press the president's reaction Wednesday was a, quote, betrayal of his office and supporters. For the very first time, President Trump is acknowledging President-elect Biden will be the next president, putting out a statement through his aides that there will be an orderly transition of power. Of course, he couldn't put the statement out himself because his Twitter account has been frozen and Facebook is banning his account for at least the remainder of his term. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
While many lawmakers are calling for Vice President Mike Pence to enact the 25th Amendment, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley says it's not possible, but he does condone President Trump's actions. In a statement, Senator Grassley says everyone must take responsibility for the destructive actions yesterday, including the president. As a leader of the nation, the president bears some responsibility for the actions that he inspires, good or bad. Sadly, yesterday he displayed poor leadership in his words and actions, and he must take responsibility.
More than 60 arrests have now been made by the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington. Authorities also found 2 pipe bombs, each placed outside the Democratic and Republican National Committee building. But one question lingers: how were so many rioters able to get so close to elected leaders in a building supposed to be surrounded by security? Sinclair national correspondent Christine Frizzell picks up this part of the story.
It was a stunning scene Wednesday that many Americans thought they'd never see. A single officer forced to retreat while protecting elected leaders, including the Vice President of the United States and, in some ways, democracy itself. It was one man against a mob. Questions now pouring in about how hundreds could infiltrate a federal building and remain inside for hours.
There are leaders in foreign countries that do not wish us will, that are reveling in what they saw yesterday. And we just showed how easy it was to overrun our police in the Capitol building.
Top city officials calling what happened a failure. Washington, D.C.'s mayor suggesting a lack of communication between departments may be in part to blame.
The Capitol, the White House, and other federal installations in the district have their own police departments, the United States Capitol Police. And we cannot decide for the Capitol, the members of Congress, that we are going to be their police department.
24 hours later, security has been massively ramped up, including this non-scalable fence being erected around the perimeter of the U.S. Capitol. The inauguration less than 2 weeks away. But what about after that? There are some major questions about the security for Washington long term.
And I don't want to resolve ourselves to having soldiers on our street. That's not us. I mean, we are supposed to be different.
Questions about who we are as a country and how to best protect the citizens inside, now part of a new reality in Washington. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Today, the United States Capitol Police responded to yesterday's incident, saying in a statement they had a robust plan to address the anticipated First Amendment activities, adding that the mass riots that occurred were not First Amendment activities. The statement also adds that Capitol Police officers were heroic given the situation they faced. President Trump has now been banned from posting on Facebook until he's out of office. Facebook said in a statement, quote, Trump intends to use his remaining time in office to undermine the peaceful and lawful transition of power to his elected successor, Joe Biden. Facebook also said the president's account has been blocked indefinitely. Facebook isn't the only platform to silence the president. Twitter and Snapchat also blocked the president's accounts.
In the early morning hours of today, Congress officially certified the Electoral College votes, solidifying Joe Biden's win in the November election.
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes.
After more than 7 hours of unrest in the nation's capital, many Republican lawmakers who had vowed to oppose the election results, well, they reversed course. Now, following the violence on Capitol Hill and weeks of refusing to concede, President Trump has released a statement early this morning agreeing to an orderly transfer of power, reading in part, even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January the 20th. Transitioning to weather now, we've seen worse weather in January, but a drab and dreary day. That weather continues to be the theme.
And when will we get to see the sun again, John?
Yeah, at least we don't have to shovel drab and dreary or plow it away, right? It's going to be a while before we see the sun. Unfortunately, the gloomy weather is going to continue for at least another couple of days. And remember the fog we had a few days ago that was freezing on contact? Well, we may see some of that again, especially across parts of northwest Iowa tonight into the morning hours tomorrow with a dense fog advisory out that way. Here in Sioux City, the Sioux City Cam sponsored by JC Roofing and Insulating, calling it overcast and chilly, 32 degrees, and the humidity at 85% means that fog is possible later tonight. 32 Sioux City, 30 in Storm Lake, and 30 right now in Wayne. Cloudy and cold with possible freezing fog. By the way, that fog advisory might be expanded to include more of Siouxland, so stay tuned for updates on that. Everybody could see some freezing fog by early tomorrow. My complete forecast in just a few minutes.
It's time to roll up those sleeves once again. One local hospital has administered another round of COVID-19 vaccines.
Plus, as Americans check their bank accounts for another round of stimulus from the federal government, A few are running into some issues, including right here in Siouxland. We'll have that story just ahead.
You're watching Siouxland News at 5 on KMEG 14 with Larry Wentz, Diana Castillo, Chief Meteorologist John Gerard, and Owen Sebring with sports. This is Siouxland News at 5 on KMEG 14.
Or some other accident.
Today, a local hospital began administering its second doses of the coronavirus vaccine. Those vaccinations took place at Unity Point Health St. Luke's. This was the second dose of the Pfizer vaccine for most of the people who got immunized. But there were a few people who also received their first shot.
Side effects have been variable. Some people with achiness, headache. I've had a person that did have some real soreness in the arm, and they had some enlargement of their lymph glands underneath their armpit and stuff like that, but it's all fairly short term and not long lasting at all.
The newest strain of the coronavirus that's being discovered could mean the vaccine will have to be updated each year like flu shots.
It's not known whether this vaccine, the effectiveness is going to last more than a year, particularly if you have viruses that are mutating. We may need to get a slightly different vaccine maybe next year because the virus may have changed enough and is circulating, but that's all yet to be determined by the trials, which are still ongoing.
People who receive their first dose of the vaccine today will have to wait 21 days until they can get the second dose. The CDC says it has seen 29 cases of severe allergic reactions to coronavirus vaccines over the first week and a half of the vaccine rollout, when 1.9 million people were inoculated. The CDC says all the severe reactions happened within minutes, but all of the patients it followed up with have recovered. 17 of the 19 have a history of allergies. Officials say people with general allergies should not be concerned, but they may want to consult their healthcare provider before getting their shots. The rate of severe reactions is higher than in flu vaccines. However, CDC officials say the reactions from COVID vaccines are still rare.
Federal health officials also predicting a higher death toll from the coronavirus this month. The CDC released higher projections for January, now forecasting up to 438,000 people could succumb to COVID-19 complications by the end of January. That's 14,000 more deaths than forecasted for December 30th. As it stands now, nearly 360,000 people have died in the U.S. from COVID since the start of the pandemic last year. Many Americans got a second round of stimulus money on Monday, but there are still quite a few waiting for that $600 boost to their bottom line. Our Andrew Rogers talks with two Siouxlanders about the headache they're experiencing this time.
According to the IRS, those who filed 2019 tax returns and provided direct deposit information should automatically receive payments in their bank account. But some that filed direct deposit through tax assistance programs like H&R Block or TurboTax have yet to receive their stimulus money.
I called them this morning, and she didn't even look up anything by my social security number, and she just said that we were not going to get it.
Now I'm finding out that they send it to TurboTax's bank, and then TurboTax issues it to you.
Kristen Langford and Heather Praster are both TurboTax customers and are trying to get answers on why their payment status shows up as not available.
It would be nice to get answers. If somewhere along the lines the IRS messed up, or let's say TurboTax does have our money, just say something and let's rectify it.
I talked to TurboTax's bank, who said, no way, we're not dealing with these payments at all. And then I talked to the IRS.
Those that didn't receive the payment on January 4th will have to claim it on their 2020 tax return, according to the IRS, an outcome that has an even greater impact on those that could have used the money right now.
So for my family, it was very crucial. My husband has been on unemployment. I've also been tweeting and emailing Congress and senators because I need this money.
In a statement posted to TurboTax's Facebook page Wednesday, the company says, "We know how important stimulus funds are for so many Americans and that everyone is anxious to get their money now more than ever. Unfortunately, because of an IRS error, millions of payments were sent to the wrong accounts, and some may not have received their stimulus payment. As a result, our expectation now is that within days the error will be corrected and stimulus payments will begin being deposited into the correct bank accounts. We have also reconfirmed with the IRS that they have all the correct banking information for our customers." As for H&R Block, they've identified a delay in where stimulus payments will be sent, but have yet to give an update.
It's obviously a waiting game. We have to file our taxes when the W-2s are available. That's all we can do.
Andrew Rogers, Siouxland News.
Now, people can check the status of both their first and second stimulus payments by using an IRS online tool called Get My Payment. Now, for more information, you can go to the story at SiouxlandNews.com.
Remember that big orange ball in the sky is called the sun that used to shine every once in a while here in Siouxland? Well, don't count on it shining anytime soon to let you know how long it's going to stay gray and gloomy. Boy, that's all good news, isn't it? Weather is coming up next.
For almost 4 decades, we've invited him into our homes. First Look Forecast with Chief Meteorologist John Gerard.
Now, I don't think John has ever spun the Wheel of Fortune, but we do have a Norfolk native who will be on at 6:30 tonight after our news here on KMAG 14. So John, what's on your wheel for tonight, tomorrow?
Yeah, well, that would have been a good question for yesterday because we had just about everything weather-wise yesterday. Where that wheel stopped would have made a big difference depending on where you happen to be. We are looking at some areas of dense fog out there tonight, so that's what's popped up on the wheel so far. You can see the several counties underneath this dense fog advisory from 9 o'clock tonight until about noon tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets expanded farther off to the south to include more of Siouxland. We had the rain yesterday, the melting snow, the lack of sunshine, and light winds, so the moisture is just kind of stuck in the lower levels of the atmosphere. And remember, a few days ago, we had that ice fog and what we call hoarfrost. There is the possibility we'll see some of that again late tonight, especially in northwest Iowa. 33 and 30, the high and low for the day today. Without any sunshine, don't expect the spreads to be much more than that, and that's how it's going to pretty much look for the next couple of days. But fortunately, it wasn't the minus 26 like it was on this date back in 1912. Our Ottawa cam indicating overcast skies, a little sliver of clear skies breaking through, at least trying to anyway. This animation sponsored by the Hut Discount Store and the City of Ottawa. And let's see if we can change our luck in Norfolk. No, not so much. You already see some fog beginning to build in there. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if an advisory goes into effect for portions of northeast Nebraska as well. I think the National Weather Service is still kind of considering all this now. Anyway, this animation sponsored by Bank First. And watch out for some black ice on some of the roads around the tri-state tonight as well as that moisture settles down to on the ground. And we get these below freezing temperatures. It's right at 32 in Sioux City, 30 in Storm Lake, 30 in Orange City, 31 in Norfolk, and 32 in Yankton. Despite that, temperatures across the country not really bitterly cold anywhere. There's a lot of blue on the map. About 75% of the country is in the blue, but really not really, terribly cold. 23 at Minneapolis, 39 at Wichita, 40 in Denver, 31 in Cleveland. They'll take that. 63 in San Antonio, 61 in Los Angeles, and 54 right now in New Orleans. Yesterday's area of low pressure now spinning across western Tennessee from Memphis to Nashville. It's well to our south, but unfortunately the flow has been completely cut off here, so we're stuck with these clouds and some possible fog over the next couple of days. Cloudy and cold with possible freezing fog out there tonight. Temperatures down to 23. Possible morning fog tomorrow, then cloudy and cold. Afternoon highs near 30. Get used to it for a few days. It'll be cloudy and cold on Saturday as well. Still cloudy and cold on Sunday. Then the best news of all is by next week we get some more sunshine and milder temperatures.
Welcome right back with sports, and we're getting flashbacks of Megan Gustafson and Bridget Carlson from a couple years ago. 2 in-state college players are getting national attention today, being listed among the top 25 players on the watch list for the Wooden Award. And as you'll find in a minute, there's plenty of career left in both these players. And the latest rankings are out for girls basketball in Iowa. Cherokee continues its stranglehold on the top spot in Class 3A. More on that next in sports.
This is an immediate alert from Pentis & Mullins Law Firm. Attention weed killer youth.
Sports with Owen Sebring.
The Wooden Award has announced its list of the top 25 picks for who might be the finalists for the national award at the end of the year. Obviously, Luca Garza on the list. That goes without saying, but there's also a pair of women's players on the list who come from right here in Iowa. In Iowa City, freshman Caitlin Clark has set the world on fire. Just 9 games into her college career, she's scored in double figures every game. She averaged over 27 points per game, second most in the nation, and she recorded a triple-double just a few weeks ago against Western Illinois. She's 7th nationally in assists per game, and she ranks in the top 15 in 7 other categories nationally. Clark, a product of Dowling Catholic in West Des Moines, is already a lock for the National Freshman of the Year and might already be in line for first-team All-American status. But over in Ames, there's another product of the Hawkeye State who's gaining national attention. Ashley Jones, a junior who's actually from Iowa City, isn't far behind Clark on the scoring charts. She's putting up over 25 points per game, which ranks 6th nationally and 1st in the Big 12. Jones was on most preseason ballots for National Player of the Year. The list of finalists for the award won't be announced until the weekend of the Elite Eight, with the winner being named after the national tournament. And the latest rankings are out for girls basketball in Iowa. New Alfina continues its hold on number 2, as they likely will until they meet Bishop Garrigan again. Kingsley Pearson remains at 4th in Class 1A, and NMCRU is 5th. The Royals and Panthers are scheduled to play each other later this month. The Royals' only loss this season came to Unity Christian, and the Knights are up to 3rd in the latest Class 3A polls. Unity's only loss this year came to Cherokee, who's ranked 1st in the state, one of 2 remaining unbeaten teams in the class right now. West Lyon lost its season opener, but they've won 7 in a row since then, and the Mighty Midgets up a spot to 14th in the polls. Their only loss also to Cherokee. Now, John, I know that we haven't been enjoying the sunlight recently, but as far as early to mid-January goes, I'm seeing a lot of 3s and 4s on the forecast, and that's what I like to see for this month.
The best news of all, despite the fact there's not going to be a lot of sunshine, Owens, we don't see any negative numbers in there, right? You could always see that in January, so we're grateful for small favors there. 30 tomorrow, 30 on Saturday, and 31 on Sunday. It could be a while before we get above freezing over the next several days. And by the way, you want to watch out for some late night and morning fog, which could freeze on contact again, kind of like what we had a few days ago in a few spots. Then not as cold on Monday, 37, milder Tuesday and Wednesday, close to 40 both days, and all the way to 43 as we head toward next week. We'll get a chance to thaw out. Can't wait for that. We'll see it back here tonight at 10.
This is the investing book everyone is talking about.